You know,
Right.
so
I'm just saying, like, if a house is on fire, you're going to have things
yeah,
exploding in there too. You know,
okay, absolutely.
aerosol cans.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree.
You know, it says "do not incinerate" on the cans. How many of those cans do you have in your house?
Well, I wouldn't have had so many if I didn't have a wife, but I've got with the wife in the house, I've got plenty. It's
Oh, she has lots of
yeah.
spray cans.
Oh, she's got creams and sprays and all sorts. It's yeah, absolutely. And I've got fly killers and bug repellents and oh,
Oh, that's
murdering
right.
weapons.
Yeah, bug sprays. It used to be much worse in the 1960s and early 70s. Now they have stuff that has more of you know, a pump in it, and it just, you know, liquid without being pressurized, because they're saying something about, you know, making a hole in the ozone. That was the theme. Whatever the story is, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It were the CFC gases. We had to they were hitting the ozone in one of them
Yeah,
imaginary crisis
whatever their
jobs.
story is. Yeah, their latest crisis on that. But I think they just gave permission to the spray companies to make a different container that was cheaper to make. They didn't have to, you know, put a gas in it. They just, you know, have a bottle with a little pump in it, a little, you know, squirt pump.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything you would like to talk about?
Let's see. Well, there's a theme of, you know, from a certain show where, you know, they're fixated on certain things. Like, you know, here's my question: how do you cover up irrefutable evidence?
You call it theory. And if you put
Yeah.
lots of theories out there, it just gets muddled in with the rest of them.
Right. It's just another theory. So,
Yeah.
Matthew, do you have a theory that the towers are gone?
Yeah, you don't need to have a theory on that one, do you? We know
Have
that
you
they're
been
gone.
there? Have you been there?
I haven't been there, but I know a friend who has, and I
Oh,
trust their word.
I've been there. I was there
Yeah.
beforehand, and I was there afterwards. And I can, you know, for myself, I can verify that the buildings used to be there, and they're now gone.
No, no
So
theory
for
required.
me, that's not a theory. That's not a belief. It's actual evidence.
Absolutely.
And now, how about you know, a lot of the solid parts of the buildings were turning into dust in midair. Is that a theory, or is that an observation?
I think we've observed that by now. I think we've gone over that enough to know that that's what happened.
Okay, so that's not a theory.
That's not a theory.
It's not. It's not that you have to go over it enough times so it's not a theory. It's either an observation or it isn't. It's like an
That's what I'm saying.
autopsy. The autopsy
Yeah,
is either conclusive or it's not. You know, that
yeah,
the victim died of a gunshot wound, or they died from poison in their system, or it's inconclusive because you didn't find the body for a year, so it's pretty well rotted, so you can't really tell. So therefore, the autopsy report would be inconclusive.
yeah.
So you know, either you know or you don't. You don't have a theory.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think we've covered enough evidence over the last couple of weeks to know that that's what happened. I don't think we have to go through all the evidence again. I think we've all,
Right,
yeah, I think it's
right.
established now. That's what happened.
Using the analogy with a dead body, you know, if it's doesn't have a bullet hole in it, you could also rule things out. Like you can rule out death by gunshot wound. You know, he doesn't have a bullet hole in him, and he doesn't have you know, even large amounts of bruising. Like the bullet didn't bounce off his skull. You know, there's no holes in his body, and he doesn't have any major bruising. So you can pretty much rule out death by gunshot. And
Yeah,
but even if you found a gun in his hand, you know, it's, you know, oh, we found a gun over here, or somebody standing in the room had a gun in their hand. So therefore, no, that doesn't mean that the guy was shot to death.
no,
That's a fantasy or something someone's making up. It has nothing to do with the evidence. The
right.
evidence would be that there's no holes in the body, so you can rule out death by gunshot. And if the person is still, the body's still warm, you know, in other words, it isn't too long after he died, you can do an autopsy. If it turns out he has lethal amounts of arsenic in his system, you know, you can come to whatever conclusion there. But there's probably, I don't know all the medical details. There's probably other things that you would find like blue fingernails or something at the same time to consistent data. I'm not a pathologist, so that's not my. I can't make up those stories as easily.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. You're saying, you've got to
look at the evidence.
You've got to look at the evidence, and the evidence looks, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need a theory. The evidence is either conclusive or it isn't. Like if you had a guy out painting his house, and then now his stepladder is overturned on top of him. He's laying on the ground, and oops, you can see that he's got a big blunt force to his skull. There's a rock, is obviously his head, landed on the rock, and then his neck is broken. You can start figuring out what happened.
Yep.
But a theory isn't going to get you there.
And that's what the people do. The people go, oh, the building was brought down by controlled demolition, and they start looking for evidence to support their theory, and that's the wrong way around.
Right.
Yeah. And this is.
Or people who, say, well, Dr. Wood claims that she doesn't have a theory, but she has a theory that blah, blah, blah. That is their theory they're projecting onto me.
Yep.
Find out in my book, where's the theory?
Yeah.
So no, you need to check on your book. It's still sitting in the. I bet you the customs folks where you are haven't read this book yet, so that's in their slow readers. So that's why it's been a week in customs.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for it. I look forward to getting my hands on this book.
As we were talking, I just checked, and it's still in customs. Nothing's changed, so it's been there a week.
Right.
But some people can read it in 2 days.
Yeah, I plan. I think I will.
But they have to read it several times. But that's quite fast. It would take me a lot longer because I absorb every word. That's something. But so it could have been one. Well, if they're not, if English isn't their first language, it might take them a week to read it. So maybe they'll start letting it out pretty soon.
Well, I hope so. I want to. I've looked at as much evidence as I can find, pretty much without the book, and I think when you read when you read what people have said about the book after reading it, you think, I need to read this book. This is a book that I need to get my hands on.
There's many people who say, well, I've seen her website and I've seen her presentations. Yep. In this internet age of needing to be spoon-fed, they don't realize they don't even get 1/100th of the information that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone wants a YouTube video. Everyone wants a video on YouTube that'll tell them everything.
And that is beside the point, because they want to be spoon-fed. They want YouTube to think for them. And the whole point of this is we need to think for ourselves. How do we get in this position to begin with this official story business? Whatever official story it is, people want to be told what their thoughts are. They want to be told it was thermite, whatever it is, or it was bin Laden, or it was, HARP, or it was scalar beams from outer space, or whatever they want to project onto it, and you can't solve a problem that way. It doesn't work.
No.
You can only cover up.
As soon as you get an answer, you go, oh, that's what it is. I'm happy. And if you're not happy with that answer, and you start questioning that answer, they've already planted the safety net. Oh, it's okay, we'll catch you. It's okay, we've got another story already ready for you. If it is,
they have a second net that they get caught by. I call it the lie behind door number 2.
Yeah, and they've even got a third net to actually catch you again. So, and then
in case you climb out of that one, you have one right below that to catch you.
And then they've got agents, and then they've got you putting out the truth, so people can actually find out what happened. And then they've got agents trying to discredit you. So,
well, I wouldn't identify them as agents, because you get people who are believers. They're out there promoting whatever it is in their pamphlets, just like people. Promoting the second coming of Christ or something.
No, I'm talking about someone who I know has read your book, and then they are out there putting out disinformation, and it's like,
well, I don't know what their motive is. Yeah, I'm not going to speculate on what their motive is, But what I would say is they know better.
Yeah, they should know
They
better.
do-
Absolutely.
And instead of pointing fingers and name calling of, oh, they're a Zionist or they're an agent or whatever group that you want to hold them accountable to, what I think of is that famous quote, lead, follower, get out of the way. We have leaders, we have followers, and we have those who are in the way. Those who have read my book and then say, oh, she says such and she has a theory about a laser beam from space, they're in the way. They're in that category. They're not leading, they're not following, they're in the way. They're putting out disinformation.
Yeah. But I think what they're doing is I think they've been trained by one of the nets, like Stephen Jones is the guy behind the space beams theory. So he puts that out. And
he promotes space beams.
Yes, he does. But he projects it onto
you haven't heard me talk about space beams at a conference, have you? I don't stand up in front of an audience. So
no, absolutely not.
It's what Stephen Jones has promoted. There's a guy on another radio show I recently heard who brought up, oh, these people who talk about space beams are discrediting the truth movement, and isn't that horrible? They talk about space beams. Well, why is he talking about space beams? Does he want to discredit the movement? That's what he's telling us. He's telling us he is one of these people who talks about space beams to discredit the movement.
Yeah.
If it discredits the movement, why are you talking about it, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the guy that behind it. This is what they do. You've got the truth. They'll you hear them on interviews, and then someone will say something like, someone stands up and questions them from a memory audience. Well, what about the buildings turning into dust? And they'll say, what, you said vaporize? Oh, well, and then they start addressing the word vaporize. It's like, no.
They couldn't have vaporized. It's impossible to vaporize because we had Greg Jenkins make calculations for us.
Yeah.
It would take more than 5 times the Earth's energy to turn the buildings to dust. Or no, to do whatever he's saying that got done to him.
To vaporize, yeah, absolutely. So they'll take away the question, twist this question round into something that they want to answer, and miss the actual question.
But without lying, without explicitly lying, because they can't get hauled into court for libel or for slander. It's a hazy line there now because
it is.
Because videos get published online and get seen over and over again, and they're now being seen as libel. So it's not just what you say. It would be slander just to say it from one to another, but when it gets published online, then it's libel. But anyway, they want to avoid that. So what they do is misinterpret what they heard someone say. Oh, you say the buildings did what? Vaporized?
Yeah, this is what they do. And speaking about
they pretend
law,
they just innocently misunderstood.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do it. That's what they do. They'll you say evidence, and they'll say, "Oh, theory," and then they start addressing theory.
She had a theory. Oh, she just used the wrong word. Yeah, it was theory. But this thing. I think we have somebody else here now. Maybe he can chime in here.
Andrew Johnson, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. I assume you're talking about this alleged court action that AE 9/11 lies are going to start.
Oh, we hadn't gotten to that one yet, but we could do that. We're talking about.
I was just trying to get onto that, actually.
I was warming up to the thing about what was on Coast to Coast last night. The George Norris saying that I have a theory about a pulsed weapon. I've never ever said anything about a pulsed weapon except repeating what Norrie says, and then Alex Jones is saying, oh, it's a laser beam she's talking about, or she has a theory about a laser beam or a maser beam or some kind of beam. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he had several different kinds of beams that he was putting in there, and so he's even disagreeing what my theory is from what Norrie says my theory is. They don't even have a coherent story. And
that's right.
And so what I would like to ask Norrie is, why, how do you cover up evidence, irrefutable evidence? How do you cover it up? You call it a theory.
Yep.
So is that what you're doing, sir?